to be the same video every single day. We're going to talk about maybe some different aspects of the same thing, but it's until we fix this, until we can override these horrible Israelis, it is what it is. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be monotonous in this regard. I'm proud to say I'm not being distracted by anything. That's something we should all be able to say. I've not been tricked by the system into focusing on something that doesn't matter. And that's the brilliance in their ploy, is to trick you into being distracted by stuff you should be distracted by. One of the best examples of it was when they killed Shireen Abu Akleh. And what a lot of people don't talk about, at the very least, is that the same day that she was killed, it was the grocery store shooting. And the same day that a few days later that her funeral was attacked, it was the school shooting in Texas killed the 19 kids and the 2 teachers, supposedly, where the parents all had to give DNA samples in order to get their kids back. Strange. But, at the same time, there's literally no video of it. There's literally no video of anybody involved in that situation, like, talking about what bullshit it is. But that's what they do. They use distractions. And when it comes down to the Muslim Palestinian American woman is killed, is executed by sniper fire, and then the body is they keep shooting all around the body to prevent anybody from giving her any sort of aid and helping her. And she might have actually survived had she had gotten aid right away, but I doubt it, because they shot her in the face. They shot her through her. She had a press helmet on, press chest plate, press helmet. Everything was obvious. She was pressed, and they shot her in the face. And this is an American citizen, a journalist who's been a journalist for 20-some years. It was a really horrendous story. And it was completely overridden by an average, everyday grocery store in America, in the United States, is attacked by a gunman, clearly a guy military trained, who is, in my mind, clearly executing a plan. Like, the way that he did everything was a well-planned operation. And it's he's a white guy who's shooting black people and points the gun at one white guy and says, "Oh, sorry," and turns and goes the other way. And like this is what's going to distract Americans. It's happening here. It involves race. It's at the grocery store. It's gun control. It's all of these hot button topics that Americans are going to be distracted by And in all regards, they should be distracted. It's a bigger. There's more death. It's a bigger story. So it's the best kind of distraction because it's real, and it's something that you should focus on. And when the IDF showed up to her funeral and attacked her funeral, attacked the people carrying the casket at her funeral, they made her almost. I wish they would have dropped it. They should have dropped it and let the body fall out, and that would have really brought the condemnation of the world. But they managed to, you know, because it's sacred, blah, blah, they managed to prevent it from hitting the floor, hitting the ground. But they attacked her funeral. Who attacks a funeral? I've never heard of that in anything. I heard... I brought it up. Have you ever heard of a funeral being attacked? And somebody was, the one story everybody brings up is like, it's either Irish or it's the UK or something where, you know, one gang was attacking another gang. It wasn't a government agency, a military attacking a fucking a civilian population during a funeral. It's different. Gang war, I'm surprised there's not more funeral deaths in gang war. But that actually shows you just how unbelievably atrocious it was that they attacked her funeral to begin with. That's just not something that happens. And they just absolutely got away with it. And they got away with it because they said that the reason they attacked the funeral was because they didn't want Palestinians marching and singing songs and waving flags. So the Israelis would rather kill a fucking journalist. Press are off limits. Journalists are off limits. Kill a journalist and then attack her funeral, then allow the people to march and sing songs with flags at her funeral, because that would have been like a martyr situation. That's how fucking crazy they are. They would rather attack a funeral than let people march. And that's like okay, right? That's something that you're okay with. Everybody's okay with that. I think I'm gonna go out front today. Yeah, it's nice out. But that's how they operate. They have the distractions are there. It's why Tartaria is such a great distraction, because it's a good thing. It's a true thing. It's a real thing. It's why, you know, the pedophile stuff is such a great distraction, because we should be talking about that. We should be exposing that shit. We should be making the Jewish connection, which we're not allowed to do, but that's how the best distractions work. There's shit you should be focused on. There's shit the good guys would focus on. They can't distract you with stuff that's not going to matter. That bridge, that barge that hit the bridge story sure went away fast, didn't it? When all kinds of stuff started coming out about it, it sure went away. But it served its purpose. Oh, that was, at that time, Israel was attacking hospitals. While they were attacking hospitals, of course, we're distracted by the boat. While another time when Israel is attacking hostages in hospitals, we're Supposedly ISIS comes out of nowhere, attacks Russia, and then disappears again. What happened to ISIS? What happened to the ISIS attacks Russia story? That just vanished. Again, they're going to their old playbook because they're stupid. The Jews, the Israelis are stupid. They're not creative. They're not intelligent enough to come up with new shit. And for most of the time, they've kept us that stupid. They kept us dumb enough to be able to be controlled in that regard. But this new generation is no longer that stupid. And the things that normally would work don't work anymore. You know, they're just not talking about it, but the students are still fucking protesting like crazy. This shit is happening. And whatever ones have been shut down, it's not because the students changed their minds or anything like that. It's because they were bullied into it. Constitutionally protected activity. We are allowed to assemble and peacefully protest according to the rules that they give us, because we still have rules that they give us. They told us we were allowed to protest. They just didn't think we'd protest them. It's all Jew stuff, man. It's all Jew stuff. Don't be foolish. It's all about keeping us in the dark about what they're doing, keeping us submissive and compliant to what they're doing. You know, they don't even care if we necessarily know, as long as we don't condemn or even talk about it. You know, they give us the plot points, and we're supposed to be like, oh, okay, let's look here, let's look there. But as soon as we start putting it together, they take it away. It's just, they have to. They have to operate like this. That's what I mean. They're stupid. Not only are they stupid, they're the bad guys. I mean, Judaism is ugly. Even the Jews don't like being Jewish. They just like the benefit that comes with it. But they're not running around like, oh, this is just so beautiful, and we're just such a wonderful, beautiful religion that's all about peace and tolerance in the workplace. Can't even say that. I've had a couple of interactions through Facebook, and you know, the way that they manipulate the situation and the bullshit they say to believe what they believe. You know, the Palestinians are bad guys. They're bad guys. It's all bad guys. They're bad guys. They're bad guys. You know, we're the victims here. They're the bad guys. You know, I saw this post. This guy was saying that, you know, because the Israeli soldiers are out shooting bad guys, that makes them you're saying this. The Israelis are out shooting bad guys. They're not shooting bad guys. There's no, you know, Israel is the bad guys. Israel is the enemy here. 5 people watching. Grand Rising. Well, let's hope so. Marissa, if you can, share this link on Facebook and shit. That'd be really great. I'd appreciate it. But it's, yeah, they're you know, they're fucking everything up. And so much of, that's what I mean, so much of that Grand Rising stuff, so much of the stuff that people want to believe is true. Like, I'm a huge Tartaria guy. I love the Tartaria stuff, but I realize what it is. You know, I see it for what it is. And I know that I don't know why I shit so coffee. I know that the only way we'll ever truly get the answers we seek when it comes to Tartaria or anything else is if we overthrow them. I'm not going to say good morning. We ain't at a funeral. I mean, see, a lot of that stuff, like, again, so I get why people get into that, right? The etymology of words and where things come from and stuff like that. But to me, this is the distraction. That's why this stuff is great distraction stuff, because it is interesting and it is good shit to know. But the truth is, we won't know the truth until we overthrow the people committing the genocide right now. Because that's the people that control the information, the perception. That's who controls the world we live in. You know, that's the problem here. That's why it's all so difficult. You know, that's what I mean when I say everything is just a big distraction. People get mad at me, but it's like they're not understanding what I'm saying. I want the same answers you do. I just don't think we'll get them unless we do, you know, we need to focus on the head of the monster, not the tentacles. Yes, the tentacles are still part of the monster. But history, experience has shown us that if we cut off a tentacle, another one rises, another one grows. So we need to figure out, well, you know, how do we prevent the tentacles from growing back? We have to cut off the head. And that's my point here. I want the same answers you do. Israel's Women in Mobility delegation tours Michigan culture. Yeah, I should go see them. Kamala Harris schools anti-Israel heckler in Michigan. I'm speaking right now. Who gives a fuck? Like, the idea that Kamala Harris thinks that, you know, that she's this person, that the presidents, that the people in charge think that they're better than us, that they can prevent us from speaking. Like that heckler. That heckler wouldn't get an opportunity to speak. There's nowhere for someone like me to speak. I would love, there was a, recently there was some bullshit happened in, like, it was either Australia or New Zealand, I can't remember. But I guess they're calling it, you know, some anti-Semitism, you know, some anti-Semitism, I don't know. Some guy supposedly painted some upside down red triangles on windows at the U.S. Embassy and broke a window or two with a sledgehammer or some shit like that. And they're saying, you know, and it's fucking crazy because you have to think, like, the Prime Minister of Australia, I think it is Australia, the Prime Minister of Australia commented on this. A building got a little bit of graffiti on it and a couple of broken windows. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, the President of the United States commenting on some graffiti? That's pretty selective, don't you think? It's not like graffiti is this thing that doesn't happen. No, graffiti is pretty much everywhere. So why isn't the president commenting on all the other graffiti? But the comment the prime minister said was, you know, this isn't the way to have your voice heard. You need to have your voice heard through intelligent conversation or debate or whatever it was. And I would give anything to have somebody on the opposing side of me, or on the conservative, normal side of things, to give me a platform to have a debate with. I would love to have that debate. I would love to talk to somebody about my anti-Jewish, my proudly anti-Semitism beliefs. Now, it's important that we use the correct wording there, because they have manipulated and twisted things to make it so those are dangerous words. But Semite refers to not just Israelis. So when they call you anti-Semite, they're saying that's a racist term. They're calling you a racist. You should be upset about that. If they say you're anti-Semitic, again, that's calling you a racist. Semitic refers to all of the people. Syrians, Palestinians, Iranians, Egyptians, these are all Semitic people. Even Israelis, yes. These are Semitic people. Semitism is a whole different thing altogether. Semitism is the belief in showing Jews favor. Having a favorable disposition to the Jews. Let's see if I can read it real quick. Semitism, a character or quality. There's two definitions. One is 1A, Semitic character or qualities. 1B, a characteristic feature of a Semitic language occurring in another language. This is Semitism. Number 2, policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. It's so simple. So I am anti-policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. I'm anti that. I don't believe anything should be favorable to Jews. And it's funny because like when I say it, I'm sure a lot of you go, oh, you can't say that. But then what am I saying? Listen to what I'm saying. I don't think anything should favor that one group of people. Why should anything favor them? What do they do to deserve favor over the rest of us? Us, you and I. Everything non-Jewish. That's us. Why should they get favor over us? Have you heard of them just being wonderful people? Like when you think about it, not only is that insane, right? Why would anybody get favor? But then you look at who they're talking about. They're talking about the worst of us. I don't know how many. There are so many videos where Jews are talking about how much better they are than us. I just watched one yesterday where it was like a representative of some sort was talking about anti-Semitism and saying that, well, they believe that we think we're special and that we think we're better than them. And we do. We are special. We are chosen by God. I'm sorry if you don't like that, but that's the way it is. Like, that's how this guy was talking. There are tons of those videos. And again, it's like you don't think about it. I think most people don't bother thinking, just regular thinking. Christians think Jews are their God's chosen people. Do you understand how crazy that is? That's like the owners of McDonald's being like, fuck yeah, Burger King's the best. My favorite place is Burger King. Like, what? You'd be shocked. If you went to McDonald's guy's house and he was like, he's rich and all that, he could get you anything he wants, and he's fucking huge Burger King fan. got a Burger King shirt on, and you'd be like, what is going on here? I walked into the Twilight Zone. That is your direct competition, dude. And instead of him being like, shh, don't tell anybody, he's like, yeah, I'm so proud of it. Look, yep, that's my chosen place. My favorite thing is that. Like, do you understand how fucking insane that is? If you can't see how that's total brainwashing, I don't know how to reach you. Like, I don't blame you if you've never actually thought about it like that before. But if you just give it a fucking thought, you just think about it just a little bit, like, you know, how does that make sense? And then look at how Jews look at Christians. Look at it. Don't look up the videos where like they're presenting it so it look even then look at how when they force themselves to say good things about Christians. Watch how forced it is. But more importantly, see if you can find like hidden stuff, the hidden cameras. Or the stuff where they think they're just talking to other, this is going to go in the Jewish news network or whatever. They say horrible things. I mean, if you know what the Talmud says about Jesus and Mary, and Mary's this whore, and Jesus is boiling in a vat of semen in hell for all of eternity, and blah blah blah. Like, this is what Jews believe. The Talmud is fucked up. And it's some supremacy shit. But see, this is the important thing. Is that you understand that their only tactic is to tell you can't talk about it. I saw somebody posted this thing about Paris, France, whatever, bans Israel from the Olympics or something. And one person said, you're off this page, removing that person from the page, and like all these things, and it's like there's never any denial. All the comments that come through are nasty comments. Israel is the best, and everything is just it's unnecessarily victimizing, and it's just so fucking nuts. It's crazy, and that's how they operate. Look at how all of it is. Do you see anybody trying to I saw a video of some Hasidic Jews, with the dreidels and the hats and the shit. But they were supposedly pro-Palestinian for some reason. And they're arguing. There's this blonde woman going, yeah, you can't do that. Why are you doing that? Why are you saying? She's like making this fake show of emotion, like she's crying and she's all upset, and this guy's like, he's trying to talk to her, but as always, when people know that you're right, they won't let you when they know they're wrong, they won't let you make your point. They'll keep interrupting you, and they'll get louder than you, and it's really typical tactics, and that's what she's doing. And at no point does she deny anything that's said. She just keeps saying, you can't say these things. Don't you say this. You're not supposed to say these things. Why are you saying these things? Not, this isn't true because of this isn't true because of that. It's always telling you that you're not allowed to say it. That's what the whole, university protest, it's the same thing. You don't see anyone trying to address the protesters and you know, examine what they're protesting and then try to like explain to them what they're wrong about and all that. You don't see that anywhere. All you see is condemnation, telling them they can't do this. You should not be doing this. You should not be saying these things. You keep seeing multiple Jews be interviewed. Jewish students and academics and fucking Jewish everything. People from celebrities and shit all getting interviewed. Condemning it. And lying. Talking about how much danger they're in and how unsafe they feel and all these things because they're experiencing anti-Semitism. And it's really interesting how they kind of tell the truth in that regard. Their whole world is shattering. They don't feel safe in their superiority anymore because we aren't showing them the favor that they've become accustomed to. But they keep lying. And don't you think if there was a story about a group of university students that surrounded and beat up some helpless Jew kid, that would be everywhere? That would be the only story the news was covering for that day, that week. There hasn't been a single fucking story where a Jew has been assaulted or attacked or anything like that. The only thing that's happened is people have said things that the Jews don't want to hear, and they don't think that we should say them. So that's the biggest problem. It's such an interesting, play almost to witness as you're watching this, because it's like, this doesn't make any sense. Why am I only seeing one side of this argument? Anybody watching, if you can, share this video on Facebook. Please. There needs to be someone like me out here saying these things. There are people out there saying everything that needs to be said about chemtrails. There are people out there saying everything that needs to be said, almost everything. The one thing that nobody, like everybody talks everything about chemtrails until we get to who is behind it. Everything, it does the same thing when it comes to vaccines, when it comes to religion, when it comes to anything. We bitch about everything, but then when we get to that who, the same question with every single thing. It's always the same question. Who is behind it? Who has made the rules that we live by to this day that none of us agree with? How many of us agree that pedophiles should get a year, maybe, a couple of years, maybe, in jail, prison, whatever, and then be let out to do it again? I think all of us can agree that pedophiles should be killed. Yet our system doesn't seem to think so. I bet all of us can agree that the $3.8 billion every year that gets given to Israel, that gets turned into 15 billion shekels, that's their dollar. Once the transfer rate goes through, it turns into about 15 billion of their dollars. That money would be better used fighting the pedophile scourge that plagues our country, that plagues the world, really. Because you can't eliminate it in just one place. I think everybody agrees that money would be better spent on protecting our children than giving it to Israel to murder more and more people. Yet we don't have a say in that. These are the right now. The biggest conspiracy going in everywhere. It involves everything. It's not one single conspiracy. It's the everything. And the way that they have us absolutely distracted is the arguing that we do about shit we can't, especially the past, but about shit we can't know anyway. We only know what they allow us to know. We only know, and you can not like it all you want, but you know, the people that have the hundreds of thousands of views, tens of thousands of views, they have it because they're allowed to. If the system didn't want them having the views, they'd be sitting at 4. You know? So every single thing that that you've seen that has multiple views, and they let us have it. They want us going in that direction because it's a distraction. And most of the things that you'll see won't mention Israel. They won't talk about the Jews. They'll say they. They'll talk about they, or they'll call globalists the globalists. You hear Alex Jones talking about the globalists all the time. But it's so much bigger than that. It's the thing that we're not allowed to talk about. It's that simple. There's only one thing that you're not allowed to talk about. There's only one thing that if you talk about it consistently and frequently, you will get censored, you'll get your page fucked with, whatever. And that's Israel. That's the Jews. You know, they have you distracted into thinking, oh, it's the Zionists. It's not just the Jews. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but I don't see a whole bunch of Jews protesting against Israel. Israel's right to even exist. The fact is, subscribing to any of these cults is insane. But that one especially, where, you know, you're born into the superior position. It's disgusting. It's just disgusting. It's such a inherently racist, supremacist perspective. And it's disgusting. And until we acknowledge that shit for what it really is, we're just going to be victimized by it even more. You know, we're being victimized because we want to be. You know, the person that starts talking like I do, again, this is how we've been trained by them to think and to respond. You can tell that they control everything because you follow this excuse from the lowest forms all the way up to the highest positions, and it's the same excuse. You can't talk about that. How many religious people do you know that welcome talking to somebody who doesn't believe them or believe in their thing and trying to convert them as they're told to do? You know, as you're charged with by your Bible says you got to find people like me and bring me in. How many people do you know that actually welcome that challenge? The people that are willing to go door to door and get doors slammed in their face over and over again. How many of those people are willing to engage with someone like me? I know every single time those people come to my house, they run away really quickly. It's not even a, you know, as soon as they realize I'm not gonna I don't just have faith like they do, it shuts down the whole conversation and they run away. And that's 100% of the time. Well, no, I can't say that. There was 2 times when the Jehovah's Witnesses were willing to have the conversation. I have to give them credit. And one of the times, it was like 2.5 hours. And it was, the only way it was eye-opening was just how stupid and ignorant and unprepared they actually are. You'd think somebody's going to go door to door like they would know their shit. They would have their shit down and be, you know, they'd be the person that you can ask. And instead it's the opposite. I literally, these guys go door to door and they'd never heard the term firmament before. I asked him, like I ask all good Christians, hey, what's the very first thing God does after God turns on whatever light there is in the room? Because it's not the sun. He doesn't create the earth, or he doesn't separate the day the light into day and night until the fourth day. So he turns on the light in whatever room he's in. Let there be light. And then what's the very first thing he does? And I mean, 100% of the people I've asked this question didn't know. I've had people say shit like, well, I'm not good at the scriptures part of it. Well, what part of it are you good at then? Chastising other people for not believing what you believe? This is it's funny the excuses that people will make because they don't know the first fucking thing. It's the first thing. Clearly, you'd stopped paying attention before the first thing. You know, it's fucking crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, I belong to the club. Oh, what's the first thing about the club? What's rule number 1? I don't know. I don't know. I forgot. The first thing God does in your stupid fucking Bible is build the firmament, is build the dome. Separate the waters of heaven from the dry land down below. Ow. And build his dome. That's what he did. I don't like other people playing with my stuff. It's my stuff. Religion. Religion is the dumbest thing anybody's ever wasted money on. I mean, do you understand like what you're doing when you're tithing? You're trying to bribe God. You're trying to buy some good favor because your preacher has repeatedly told you that God doesn't answer prayers. God answers tithing. You look great. Mr. French and his Jewish wife, or whoever the fuck she is. Again, my thing is and always has been, you know, if I'm wrong, just come tell me. Have fun. Tell me about it. Tell me what I'm wrong about, and, you know, we'll go from there. I will, you know, if you're arrogant enough to think that you're going to say, well, you're wrong about this, and I'm going to go, oh, okay. That's not going to work out well for you. But I'm willing to be wrong if you can explain it to me. I'm going to have some I'm going to have some objections, unless what you say is just profoundly fucking mind-blowing. But I'm going to have some objections. And my hope is that you can alleviate those concerns of mine. Because it you know, I'm surprised more people don't have these same concerns. Don't have these same, you know, objections. And you know, hopefully you have some answers. But from what I've experienced, it's nothing but cowardly submission. And I truly wonder, like, why the fuck am I this way? I mean, I you know, to me it just seems like a you know, simple intelligence. When you're shown a bunch of buildings from the 1800s, supposedly, that all are rebuilds because prior to there was a fire that destroyed what was there. And then these tremendous buildings made of, granite and marble and just all this incredible shit is somehow built by people who literally had like hammers and chisels, horseback, some wagons and shit. How they managed to when you look at what we're told the 1800s was, the mid, early, even to the late 1800s, what the world was like, we're supposed to believe that we were like basically the same as we had always been. And apparently all those people were able to just, there were first of all, there weren't nearly as many of us, but everywhere you went, there happened to be not just incredibly skilled architects, but builders who just built all these incredible cities for people that, you're talking about building cities when you have a population of 1,500. You're building a city, springing up in supposedly just a few short years, and all this just incredibly, this stuff that you really have to have some faith to believe. And the more you look, the more of it you see. And if you just believe that in the 1800s, they were just able to do all these things that we probably can't do today. All the star forts. Are you kidding me? Have you seen these star fort cities that exist? Where they have carved the ground, into the ground with water, all these places in Italy and shit like that. Like, I'm supposed to believe they did that? Like, how? With what? They were literally they'd be using shovels. I mean, I don't even understand. What would they be using to dig and all of it? It's so far-fetched. And I just keep thinking, like, if you believe that stuff, I mean, I used to. I mean, I didn't. I don't know. I never really did. I always thought it was strange, the construction. I've always been fascinated by architecture and shit, and I've always thought it was crazy, like how castles and just all of it. How the fuck were they doing this? What was happening? Who was making this happen? Look at old paintings that supposedly exist from the 1500s, the 1400s, whatever. And you see them, they're painting, city square, that, whatever it is, London Square, whatever. And it's this incredible city with huge buildings in the background and all this other shit. And you're going, what? But like, if you can, it's one thing to say I've just sort of lived my life without giving any of this any thought. And I guess I can see that, maybe. I don't know. Not me. I don't understand. Like, I'm never a person that if you ask me what I'm thinking, I'm going to go, nothing. I just wasn't thinking anything. I'm thinking while I'm watching TV. I'm thinking while I'm doing whatever. I'm thinking of other things. So if that's not you, that's not you. And I it's just a difference that we have. But I don't know how how you hear the narrative that we're given. You don't even have to be a conspiracy theorist. I don't know how you hear the narrative we're given and think it makes sense. From a very, very, very young age, from as long back as I can remember, I never understood how anyone, especially adults, could think religion was real. Which is strange, because, like, at the same time, I remember thinking as a kid, well, why don't people think we went to the moon? Like, there's enough people that think we didn't go to the moon that there must be something. Is there a reason why they don't think we went to the moon? So that same logic, you say, well, look at all the people that believe in religion. Shouldn't that validate it? And it's sort of different, right? One's claiming one thing and another's claiming another thing, and both, neither one have proof. But for religion, I always just found it stupid and arrogant. It's arrogant. That's what, I went from it being stupid to it's amazing how arrogant it all is. The arrogance in thinking the God that makes the universe work, that you believe, and you also happen to believe, because, again, for some reason you don't know your Bible, and you believe that the Hubble telescope can see into a giggity, and that the James Webb Space Telescope can see into an even further giggity, and and blah blah. You believe that we're in a universe, and there are suns, and multiple planets, and you believe all that other shit. But you also believe in Christianity, which is an absolute 100% contradiction. And again, you it's the same, like, faith-based belief structure, that you don't actually have a real reason to believe it. You're just told you believe it. I don't know why I was making this point. I forgot the point I was making by making this point. It's the sad part about doing this by yourself. It'd be great to have a co-host. It'd be great to be able to do a podcast. There's something about it, though, where, like, I like the idea that if somebody had the balls to tell me I was wrong, they could. I like the interaction element of this. I don't just want to hear my voice. We have a situation set up where I could just go live on the band page. And that's what I should be doing. But there's no audience there. It's all been shut down so long. Everything just gets so shut down. It's wild. It's wild. And it's not unexpected. We it's the reality of it that sucks, but you can't go after the head of the monster and not think you're going to deal with resistance. Not think you're going to deal with I'm Facebook, YouTube, all these things are tools created by Israelis to monitor us and to manipulate us and to just keep a track of who we are and what we like. This is the next best thing to having a camera in everyone's house. Big Brother's wettest dream is Facebook. Because you walk around with cameras all the time, but you tell Facebook exactly what you think. Online, they track exactly everything you do. They track what you like, what you don't like. We all experienced it. We've all experienced talking about something and then going and checking our Facebook and having an ad for that thing we were just talking about. We sort of joke about it, and then we just like, yeah, well, they're listening to us. They're tracking everything we do. There's no, it's like no argument there. So to think that like that they're doing all that, but the one thing they don't do is censor us, get the fuck out of here. Why would you think they could do all of the, why would you think they can provide you with the system, with the platform? They can monitor everything you do. They can, clearly listen through your phone and then give you ads for the thing you were just talking about. They can do all that stuff, but the one thing they can't do is censor you. Come on, that's crazy. You conspiracy theorist. When was the last time you felt like you had real freedom of expression? That you could say how you felt and what you thought without, I mean, I'd say without feeling, but criticism is not a bad thing. Where you could say how you felt and had an intelligent conversation about it, that's a different thing. Like I don't at all think that what I'm saying should just be accepted and everything's good now. I don't think that way. I expect people to engage me and try to, whatever comes to your mind, whatever objections you may have, it's just, I want you to bring those. I want you to help me be better. That's how I get better, because whatever objections you have, somebody else is going to have them too. And I'd rather handle them now in the practice mode than in the real world situation where, I might get the opportunity to say something. The day the news shows up and, Mr. Williams, we've seen lots of reports and videos that you have a very anti-Israel point of view, and you've always said you wanted this and that, like try to throw me off and shit. I want to be ready if that ever does happen. I'm always ready. It's getting ice this morning, gas station, and gave the guy 20, and he was like, "Well, hey man, you got 7 cents?" And I was like, because he didn't want to break it up. So I went to the car to see if I had it, and I didn't have it. And before I left, I was like, I could tell you this, or no, I came back in and I was like, sorry man, don't have it, but I can tell you this: fuck Israel. He had the star and crescent thing on his arm, and he's clear Muslim, but he got this big smile on his face, and he was like, "Thank you, man." And I went, "Oh no!" And I said that before I got the something, but he was like, he didn't want. He was like, "Here you go, man." He was real happy. He didn't want his 7 cents. He was like, it's we have to be proud of it. And the problem is, the association with an anti-Israel perspective is either you're a skinhead, you're a Muslim, or you're like a Farrakhan, black Muslim kind of guy. And it's, or, one of the things that Jews always hide behind is that, that we hate them because they killed Jesus and the Bible this, the Bible that, blah, 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 blah. The narrative that anti-Semitism is a bad thing, that's what's never addressed in the conversation. No one ever corrects anyone. It's like no one knows the definition of words. God, what I wouldn't give for someone to get accused of anti-Semitism and check that person and go, no, 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 wait. I'm proud of that. I know what Semitism means. Do you know what Semitism means? And just watch their face when they go, oh, I wasn't prepared for this. The Goyim is supposed to go, no, no, I'm not that way. No, 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 I'm not. No, because we're supposed to think that that's the same thing as being racist, and it's not. Semitism is racism. Semitism is the supremacy that anti-Semitism is opposing. That's the thing. That's the like ultimate magic trick that's being used against us in this situation. Is the way that they tell the truth, without telling the full truth. When they're claiming it's anti-Semitism, that cases of anti-Semitism are on a rise all over the country, and then they're right. People are losing the idea that they deserve favor. And to them, that is a scary prospect. So where they could normally walk around in their goofy clown suits, being shitty to people, nowadays people are calling them out. Hey, fuck you. You don't get to be that way. You're not better than me. And it's this kind of shit that they're so like taken aback by. They've lived a life of privilege, of exclusion, where they were untouchable. And now they're experiencing this anti-Semitism everywhere, and and to them it's a bad thing. If you say no, hey, you're not special, you don't deserve any favor. You deserve to be treated just as everyone else is treated. We're all the same. We're all equal here. That's a problem. Anybody who disagrees with that, again, that's what you need to... These are the things that never get said. These are the things that every interview I've ever seen, if there is someone that's opposing Israel, they're usually a Muslim. And so you have this dynamic taking place where, wow, he got fat. Jesus Christ. Oh yeah. You dye the shit out of your hair and it looks silly. Why would someone so religious dye his hair? Isn't it God wanting you to be gray-haired or whatever it is? I can't watch it anymore. I could watch it for a little bit, but I just can't do it anymore. For a brief moment in time, I was watching that shit every day as a source of information. But it was just, I felt so gross. It was such a gross feeling watching that shit. It's been more than 6 years since the worst high school shooting in U.S. history here in Marbury, Stillman Douglas High School in Parkland today. I just think we're so much better than we're allowed to be. And it's crazy how, that's my argument. And then when I'm opposed, it's like, okay, cool. You oppose. What part of that do you oppose? What part of we're a lot better than we're allowed to be do you oppose? What part don't you think is real? Like we could break it down in every aspect possible, down to the smallest detail, and I'm okay with talking about it. I don't understand why, especially if I'm wrong, why everyone has such a hard time with it. If I'm wrong, then just make yourself look great, make me look bad, smash me, put me in my place, and you never have to hear from me again. I won't talk about it anymore. Once I get shown what I'm wrong about, that's enough for me. I don't need to talk about that anymore. Okay. Or I'll bring it up like I was wrong about this. I mean, to me, it's all about education. It's all about it's always weird, when with my wife and my neighbor, the Christian, you know, the idea that she was the good one who was just trying to save us and blah blah blah. It's like, well, what do you think I'm doing? Do you think I'm trying to make her life worse? Like when I'm talking to her about all this craziness, when her prayers are continuously not being answered, that's awful. That's got to be a tremendous letdown. So, it's always been about, like, it's not just about tearing down people's beliefs. It's about providing a better scenario for all of us so we can all live a better life. And that's not, I know none of the religions are like that. It's not about that. It's about control in most situations. And I'm done with that shit. I don't like it. I don't like the narrative that we're given. I think it's all dumb. And I honestly think that most of the religious people, you feel the same way. You don't believe the religion you say you believe. If you believed in it, it wouldn't bother you so much that I don't. And you would be able to engage me and help me understand things. What ends up happening is I start showing you how goofy what you believe in is, and it makes you feel stupid for believing in it yourself. So, it turns into this weird pissing contest defense thing where that's not what I'm ever into. But whatever. Nobody's talking anyway. I feel like I got the same two Israeli trolls as always. So this is supposed to be a place for discussion and debate, not just to hear me talk. But if you get something from it, I guess that's a good thing too. Anyway, it slices. Pedophiles, kill yourself. The rest have a great day.